Hello everyone, I'm Aurora Webb and today I'll be talking about overfishing and how it's unsustainable from Bio 1233. So, to understand what overfishing is, you have to know the definition. So the definition of overfishing is the harvesting of wildlife from the sea at rates too high for a species to replace itself. It also is when overfishing reduces the biomass of fish, impacts biodiversity, alters the marine food web, and degrades marine habitats. This makes it so the marine ecosystem is more vulnerable to the effects of climate change. Yes. Woo. So why is overfishing important, and why do we need to care about it? So for starters, overfishing is really damaging to the ocean ecosystem, whether that be coral reefs or just the ocean in general. In coral reefs, materials are being left behind in the ocean from overfishing, whether that be a net that floats away and they just decide they're going to leave it, or cages for crabs, or hooks. All these things are causing damage to coral reefs, as well as many fish are no longer able to come to these reefs, which is causing some depletion in the resources that they have. Also, some things that are damaging to the ecosystem is the fact that most of these nets that are catching fish are not catching the species they want. So about 90% of the fish that they're catching get thrown back or end up dying in the process. There are some human impacts as well. So over 1 billion people in the world eat fish daily as their main source of protein. And although we are catching fish to eat, we are catching them at a very high rate that is not needed. As well as there are some economic factors. So commercially, we've got rapid fishing, overfishing, all of that. That is an industry and it does make money for a lot of people. There are also some recreational uses, like the scuba diver right here, who is looking at these fish, and a lot of places don't have the ability to look at fish anymore because they've been overfished. For example, the island nation of Malta. There are no longer any fish around the island, so divers just look at the scenery. As well as a lot of people just rely on going out and fishing to get their food. And so there's been some issues when all of the fish are starting to disappear. So some causes of overfishing. In the picture behind, this is an example of a high-capacity fishing boat catching a school of fish. Overfishing is pretty well known, but not much is being done about it. And that angers me. Anyways, so overfishing's big reason and cause is that the oceans aren't regulated. There isn't one source saying that the oceans are, these are the rules of the ocean. Due to industrialized fishing, which is high-capacity ships to get fish, due to industrialization, it's become very easy for that to happen. As well as the human population growth, more people are eating fish due to health reasons, recommendations from pop culture, as well as just their normal lives. There are some illegal fishing rings where they follow even less rules than the people who do follow a sort of rule when it comes to fishing. There are also tons and tons of subsidies that are helping these massive ships get fish and not steal them, but take them from the ocean. These subsidies offset costs and production costs, and most of the time, a fleet of ships will catch 2.5 times the amount of what they actually need. And most of those fish just end up dying or thrown away. There isn't one big conflict when it comes to overfishing because the ocean isn't regulated. There isn't one sole body that is controlling what the ocean can or can't do. And that is when the tragedy of the commons really strikes a chord. The tragedy of the commons is when a group of people will use a common area and deplete it of its natural resources. For example, if you went to a country town and 3 farmers shared the land and the max capacity was 10 cows, but each farmer had 5 cows. And there's 15 cows, and the natural resources will deplete on that land, causing the land to no longer be able to use. That's basically what's happening in the sea, but at a very high scale, and many nations are doing it. China, the US, Japan, all of these large-scale countries are doing it. China is the largest manufacturer of, manufacturer as in like producing, of fish in the world, and they also have the largest fishing fleet, but that doesn't mean that they are any different from any of the other industrialized nations that are fishing at this high scale. So that's all I have to say today. Overfishing is a problem, and I hope that we can solve it by finding more sustainable ways to get fish and feed our world as it develops throughout the next couple years into a sustainable environment, unlike what it is now.